Hi, Meg here. Question number 3 of the 4 presentation planning questions is the question which is going to really help you to make your topic relevant to the people you're talking to. It's going to really help you to deal with the Q&A better, and actually it helps to reduce your nerves. So I want to talk to you a bit about some of the subtleties of putting it into place, so that there's this interesting thing that can happen, that if you use this question really well, then people think you're a mind reader, like you seem such a really clear communicator. And the question is, what are people bringing in with them from their past? And what I mean by that is, what attitudes, preconceptions, prejudices, myths, positive attitudes are people bringing towards you and people like you and your topic and your recommendation, and then we're going to talk a bit about how that progresses at a more granular level, because there's stuff, we talk about the elephant in the room, and I talked about this in presentation now, that I think it's more like a circus. Like, it's not just elephants, there's loads of different animals in people's heads, and like a brass band and some clowns and trapeze artists. There's so much going on in people's heads, and the idea that we're talking to people and they're just calmly ready to receive our presentation is just wildly inaccurate, as they're thinking about all sorts of things that are unconnected to your presentation, and they're thinking about the email that they just got on their phone just before you started and the meeting they've got afterwards, and they're thinking about what they're going to have for lunch and have they got stuff for dinner yet, and as well as soon as you stand up, and this is the key thing to think through, is as soon as you stand up, what questions do they have in their mind? So for me, standing up, I probably need to mention that I'm trans, because that's a question that's going to be going on in people's mind, that my book is in an old name, my pronouns are this. Happy to answer questions, but not right now. Like, if you want to come up to me afterwards, that's fine. And I think that helps to just go, okay, doink, next thing. If I'm talking about, if I'm doing a talk about the adult development stuff that I do around leadership development and approach to mess and complexity, one of the misconceptions that people have about that is it's like a Myers-Briggs MBTI personality typology, whereas actually really it's about the thresholds that adults can cross as we evolve our approach to complexity and mess in the world, and that all personality types, though I don't really agree with that kind of thing, all personality types are there at all of those levels of development. And so that's something that I need to weave that in during probably several times during the talk that I'm making or the workshop that I'm running, to help people to understand that it's not, otherwise they're going to switch off to go, oh, is this just another personality typology thing? So I would make a really big list, and also this is a time for you to revisit as you begin to work out later what your major points and minor points are, to then go, okay, now as I open my mouth, what silent questions do people have in their mind? As I move on to this bit, I kind of see the room and go ding, 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 like there's these question marks that are happening above people's heads, and then go, okay, so how do I answer those silent questions? The reason this helps you, so I was coaching someone this week, and this is largely what we did together, was get a bunch of post-its, and I said, so what kind of silent questions are people going to have? And then as we were structuring the presentation, we were able to cross-check and go, oh, okay, that one's still unanswered, so we need to, where does that fit in? And we were very rapidly, in 45 minutes, able to solidify a through line of thought that answered most of those questions. It helps with the Q&A because unanswered silent questions become spoken questions towards the end of your presentation. And so if you have to decide how much of those silent questions you're going to answer overtly and how many you're going to leave to be raised. But bear in mind that people are very unlikely to take action if some of their really big silent questions are unanswered. And in fact, you can use this as a bit of monitoring when you're watching other people's presentations that are unsatisfying, whereas you can go, oh, what of my silent questions are unanswered right now? So it helps you to be relevant, it helps you to deal with the Q&A, and it also can really help with nerves, because if you can look really clearly in the face, these are the questions that people are going to have, how am I going to deal with them, then you're much more able to be steady because you've planned things in advance. And even if they do come up with Q&A, most people's questions that they ask, 90% of them you can predict, and so this way you're much more able to be ready and to answer those questions fluently, either during your presentation or afterwards. The one of the keys to the magic in this is to go back to question 1, where we were thinking about who, and think about those subgroups. And if you're able to do this process with each subgroup, what will this subgroup's silent questions be? What will this subgroup's silent questions be as I move through these major and minor points in my presentation? Then you're much more able to work out how to be really relevant. And if you do this well and in the right sequence, I often find I go, okay, if I say this is what they're going to be thinking, and then you're able to go, one way to that would be to go, oh, well, I bet you're thinking this, and unconsciously people go, oh, I was thinking that, and they don't go, oh, you're answering all the silent questions in my mind. What they do is they just remember you as a really clear communicator. So I don't think you can spend too much time going through the past that people are bringing with them, because it really allows you to be super focused. Of course, when we get to thinking about what you're going to include and not include in your presentation, you'll realise like we need to think about time limits. You can't answer every silent question, so you may have to rank the subgroups by the ones that are more important to you, the questions which are going to be bigger stumbling blocks in people's mind, and then go, can I answer some of those other questions outside of the presentation or with other material, or am I okay to leave those loops open in people's mind? But thinking about the silent questions that people have, what they're bringing in with them from their past, is super important. The next question we're going to think about is the fourth of the 4 questions, and it's the one that really helps when you want people to take action, which you pretty much always do. So hang around for the next video, click whatever you need to click in order to get reminded of the next videos, and I'll see you in the next one.